Every single dream at the first level is triggered by something you thought about yesterday or something that happened to you yesterday. It's a continuing problem solving, ongoing conversation that you are, and it's an interior conversation that takes place between your unconscious and your conscious.
Hey, everybody. We've had some of the most incredible guests coming to you these past couple of months. The amount of expertise and knowledge on these cutting edge topics is something we really hope that you enjoy. And if you do, it would make a huge difference to us if you could rate, review, and subscribe the podcast. It helps us to get more guests, better experts, and talk about all of the things that are really important to you. So give us a love, give us a lot of love, and don't forget to subscribe so you get all our new episodes.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I'm Kelsea, and I am here with Layne Dalfen, who is your dreams expert. Layne, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kelsea. It's so nice to meet you.
Oh, it's so great. I actually am very excited about this episode because we haven't had a chance. I've had this podcast for, I don't know, 5 years or something. And I've never had a chance to talk about dreams on here yet. And it's one of the things that is near and dear to my heart because I keep a notepad next to my.
Oh, you're a dreamer. I love it.
Yes. And
Okay.
and I'm one of those that are like wondering, what does this mean? And you're doing your Google searches, your chat GPTing, you're like, should I act on this? Is this overreaction? I have been mad at people in my life for several days after a dream.
Okay.
That they have done absolutely nothing, but I wake up and I'm like, well, in my dream, you did this. So I would love to unpack some
After
things with
today,
you.
you'll probably end up loving those people that you think you hate in your dream.
Really?
You need and want them.
Oh, we're gonna unpack this, and I love it.
Right.
Can you let me know, just for a little background, why dreams? What led you to this field with being the expert on dreams?
What brought me here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no problem. We could begin there. I'm 73, and when I just turned 21, actually 2 weeks after my 21st birthday, I gave birth to my first of 4 lovely daughters, Tina, who was born with Down syndrome. And when I was 21, thankfully, I had the nicest pregnancy because I had never even heard of Down syndrome before. I had no idea what it was. So this is like 50 years ago. And 50 years ago, most people, at least in North America, had their children placed. They rarely took their Downs babies home. And so my parents refused to advise us one way or the other, because my parents wanted me to know, if you decide to bring Tina home, we support you. And if you decide to have her placed, we support you. So they wouldn't give me any advice. And she was born very premature. So I was afforded some time to think. And I went to the advice of the doctor who was my GP from the time I was born. And I trusted him like a second dad. And he advised us, give her up, have her placed. I'm going to help you have her placed. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. Go home and hurry up and get pregnant again. And just forget this situation, which I did. And then about 2 or 3 months later, I'm sure you understand, I became pretty depressed. And I was very fortunate to obtain the care of a brilliant Freudian psychoanalyst who had just moved to Montreal, and that's where I am. And he had just moved here from New York. Brilliant guy. And so after I was in psychoanalysis for about 3 months, first, I should say that in my early 20s, I wasn't so well able to articulate my feelings. But like you, I'm a dreamer. And so I would wake up every morning with a dream, and I used to go to the sessions with the shrink, always with a dream. And that was the point of entry that he used to begin our discussions. So I I did Freud. I experienced Freud long before I studied him. And so, okay. So, about once I was in therapy for maybe a couple of months, I started having a series of recurring elevator dreams. That's what I
Mhm.
call them, where I'm in this big freight elevator. And I think you're in the UK, are you?
No, I'm US.
Oh, okay. So then you'll know that the freight elevator often
Yep.
besides that, it's such a wide space, and I'm in there all alone, and there's a raised floor. There's a second floor where they usually put boxes and stuff on, and that floor is wobbly. And
Mhm.
once you're in a discussion with me and you start to appreciate our symbols and how we use them and how you cannot look it up in a book, you have to talk to the dreamer. So for me, that wobbly floor, that's me saying to myself, I don't feel my ground.
Mm.
So I wasn't feeling my ground. And the issue behind that feeling was that the whole thing didn't fit for me. It didn't fit for me that Tina was placed somewhere. I had no idea where she was. I had a baby. What does she look like? Who is she? Where is she? That whole thing, I realized after a couple of months, it's not going to work for me. And the
Mm.
freight elevator dreams focused me in there. And I'm going to talk to you today about 8 or 9 different ways that I have of finding the solution that appears inside the dream. Because I'm just going to remind me to go back to the solution. But I just want to say every single dream, without going deep, every single dream at the first level is triggered by something you thought about yesterday or something that happened to you yesterday. It's a continuing problem solving,
Mhm.
ongoing conversation that you are, and it's an interior conversation that takes place between your unconscious and your conscious. And this is what was happening. This is a great illustration that I was thinking about Tina and not being happy about the decision I made. And that is what triggered at the first level the freight elevator dreams. And so I'll teach you lots of different ways of finding a solution. In this case, though, the solution to the dream, and it's my favorite, is to take the story of the dream outside to your waking life and solve the puzzle outside the dream before you go back inside. So
Mhm.
it's funny because I teach at a university here in Montreal, and I often use this as an example. What's the solution to the freight elevator dream? And I'll get one student say, sit down. And I'll get another student say, push the emergency button or pick up the phone and call for help or escape out. Sometimes you hear a guy say, open up the trap at the top of the elevator
Yeah.
and escape. It's never a girl that says that for some reason. It's always a guy. But for me, the solution to the freight elevator dream, which is still the same today, is to invite people into the elevator. Because if I invite people in, I'm no longer alone and it's no longer such a big space because now I've got people all around me. And the second thing is by inviting people in, now you put weight on the floor and it stops wobbling. And the most shocking still, like at 73, I'm still saying the most shocking element of how sophisticated our unconscious mind is. Where did I get this image of a freight elevator? Because when I was a little girl, my dad used to take me to his warehouse with him on the weekends. and his warehouse had a big freight elevator. And I used to be afraid, but I was okay because I was with my father. And so the freight elevator image linked me to my parents, to my father. And that's who I invited in a metaphoric way. That's who I invited into the elevator with me. I went to my parents and I said, I don't like it that I gave up Tina. It's not fitting with me. And so they, together with me, got into the car, and we found out from the doctor where he had Tina placed. We went to visit her. I never did take Tina home with me, but she was a huge part of my life after that dream happened. So I made a life decision based on the solution finding that I was able to do inside a dream. And I should add two things. One is that Tina's not with us anymore. She passed away about 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. But I must say, to this day, and I'm sure I'll always say that, Tina was hands down the happiest person I ever met in my life, because she spent zero time focused on the future where anxiety lives,
Mm.
and zero time in the past where regret lives. She spent all of her time in the present, which would be amazing if the rest of us could all do that. So I'm sure that her soul was far ahead of many of us. And she had a happy life, and she was just really a delicious person. And the three daughters that came after her, and the four granddaughters that came after her, everybody loved Tina.
Oh, that's such a I mean, I'm so sorry for your loss, but just like something so wonderful that she could teach us
Yes,
about joy and happiness, because
yes.
truly that is
Right.
exactly where it lives. And if we
And,
can take anything from that,
right.
like,
And I never looked back, because I remain, even to this day, 50 odd years later, just as astounded by how sophisticated our unconscious is, and
yeah.
our frame of reference, and the images that we use, and the people who appear in our dreams, never by an accident, never. It's just unbelievable. And so I became absolutely obsessed with getting this message out to every single one of us walking this earth. Whether you remember them or you don't, you are dreaming every single night. And whether you remember them or you don't, you are problem solving every single night. You're getting the solution to whatever it is, not only that's you're dealing with this week, but you are also getting solutions to deeper issues that you're walking around with from your past. Because if you were to say to me, there's gold under the earth here, I would say to you, wow, Kelsea, that's amazing. Where should we start digging? And so we would have to know where to start digging. And so I have two main goals at the beginning, always the same two goals. How do I know where to start digging? And because I'm not a psychic and I have a psychological approach to dream analysis, I need the dreamer. I need to know, what are the questions that I can ask you so that you can tell me why you had the dream, not me tell you why you had the dream. And so, in order to accomplish that goal, I developed a 6 point of entry system that any person can use to uncover what the heck you were saying to yourself when you had that crazy dream last night. And that's what I'm going to talk about. And just to finish about me and my past, somebody at the university, like when I was 30 and finished psychoanalysis, somebody at the university said to me, wow, like if you loved Freud, you would love Frederick Perls and Gestalt. So I
Mhm.
went and became a Gestalt counselor, and I learned how Frederick Perls looked at dreams. And then when I turned 40, I went to the Alfred Adler Institute and I studied with Dr. Leo Gold, specifically dream analysis from an Adlerian perspective. And then I became a member of the C.G. Jung Society. So you are talking to someone who is very eclectic in my approach to dream analysis. I love all the ways of looking at it. And my points of entry also revolve around those different philosophies that the different fathers of psychology had. So,
Yeah.
do you think I might tell you that? I'll just tell you what the 6 points of entry are.
That would be fabulous. I did want to say too. Sometimes you said a little bit of something there was like whether you have dream, whether you remember your dreams or you don't. I just want to lay the groundwork. Are we all having dreams, whether
Every
we
night.
remember them or we don't?
Yeah,
Every night.
dreaming is just thinking. I'm
Yep.
here to take the mystery away. Dreaming
Mhm.
is thinking, and we think differently in the day. It's actually a different language. And I am much more an expert in the language of metaphor than I am a dream analyst. I understand the language. So you
Mm.
could say to me, I feel so tired. Or you could say to me, Je suis très fatigué. Or you could say to me, I was trying to run, but my feet were dragging. And for me, you're saying, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. You're saying it in English, in French, and in metaphor.
Mm.
So when I hear a dream, I am hearing the language that you are speaking. And you will find this also once you know the points of entry. When you hear a dream, whether it belongs to you or anybody else, you'll get attracted to one of the points of entry. And they
Mm.
are all good and they all work. And they all might get you somewhere different, but they will all get you somewhere good. So there's no judgment about which point of entry you want to use. You do the one that feels right for you. And I promise you, it's going to get you somewhere about uncovering what is the discussion that you thought about or that happened to you yesterday that you are the conversation that you are continuing in your sleep.
That's incredible. So I think for a lot of people, they're like, I don't have dreams like you do. We so let's get into the 6 points of entry, and then so we can unpack that a little bit and see which one
Okay,
kind of
so
resonates.
if all your listeners could just grab a pen for a minute. They are the feelings, the action, the symbols, the repetition, the puns and play on words, because we use puns and play on words constantly in our sleep. And finally, the plot, which is the same thing we did in English class. What is the story behind the story?
Mm.
And so that's what happens when I hear a dream. So I'm going to give you a few examples. Feelings. Let's talk about the feelings. And so, one of my favorite dreams is the woman who dreams that she's at Turks and Caicos and she's right in the shallow end of the ocean and she's actually with a girlfriend of hers and it's calm water, calm, beautiful water on a gorgeous day. And all of a sudden, she looks over to her right and sees a massive tsunami wave. And it's not moving, but it's there. And so when I heard the dream, I thought about the feelings and the plot. And
Mm.
I asked her, what do you think is going on in your life in the last little while? Some situation that feels like it could be calm, or you're trying to stay calm, or something like that. But there's this shadow looming. What do you think is looming in your life? And she caught it immediately. She said, my husband had cancer and did some treatments. And now he went for a biopsy a couple of weeks ago. And I promised myself, I am going to remain calm. I am not going to freak myself out until I get the results of the biopsy. So that's the tsunami that's looming in the distance. And when I used a symbol's point of entry, I asked her very quickly, could you tell me what are the first 2 or 3 things that come to your mind when you want to describe the girlfriend you were with? And the first thing she said is, she's the calmest person I know. She doesn't get freaked out about anything. So that's an example of repetition and how we use repetition in a dream. She's in calm water with the
Mm.
calmest person she knows, and her goal is to remain calm until she gets the results of the test. And it's good that she did, because he doesn't have cancer. And this is from years ago. He's still in remission. And so it was good. The dream helped her rehearse. The
Yeah.
dreams provide a rehearsal in the safe space that is the dream. And you rehearse at night while you're sleeping. You practice, practice, practice. And when you get comfortable enough with it, you take that behavior outside to your waking life, because it becomes easier. You've been practicing in your dream. So that's an example of a feelings point of entry, but it also gave you an example of using the symbols and the repetition and the plot.
Yeah.
So you got all of that kind of in the same example.
Mhm. Now,
So
is it common for, well, I guess not necessarily common, but is it common for people to not remember the whole dream, but kind of come at you with like
yes,
little, like just kind of like little parts of it? They
right.
don't even know who the
I
people
love it.
are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because we repeat ourselves constantly during the night, one little dream, which is going to be my next example, giving you an action point of entry, is a one picture dream. And Kelsea, that expression, one picture is worth 1,000 words. It really is. Just like the freight elevator was one picture, and look how much it said. And
Mm,
actually, and her tsunami dream is also one picture. Or what
mm,
about the woman? This is an action dream, who had one picture that she's jumping out of her chair, which is in absolute flames. So that's the picture of the dream. But the dream makes action happen, it makes movement happen. And that was her unconscious's way of screaming at her to
mhm.
stop procrastinating. It gave her a burning chair. And Alfred Adler, if he was with us today, he would have said, the dream gives rise to an emotion that helps you move forward towards the goal. And in the case of the burning chair dream, she got inspired to make motion and get to work and stop procrastinating.
Mm,
So that's an example of an action point of entry.
mm. I mean, when you say it back, it feels like it's such an obvious, of course, you need to act like your chair is on fire. You got to go. Your dream is telling you to jump. Like,
Yes.
I bet when you like, you talk it out, you're like, of course, that feels so like obvious. But if you're the dreamer, sometimes you're like, I don't
Yeah.
know what this
Right.
what's happening here, what this means. And I know that sometimes, with my dreams, like there's a stopper in my dream that feels so frustrating. Like I'm trying to yell, but I can't scream. I try to dial a phone
Right.
and I
And
can't
so, and
dial.
like with the example you just gave, you're trying to yell and you can't scream. And my question is, what do you think is going on this week? Something that you're trying to say to somebody and you're not speaking. Is your dream providing a rehearsal to get you in touch with the fact that you're trying to speak and you're not allowing yourself to, or is it a case that you are speaking but you're not feeling listened to? You're feeling like no sound is coming out. So I want to know, is the dream there to encourage you to speak, or is it making a comment that you are not feeling heard? And but both
Oh
both
man.
both are
And
encouraging you to speak.
And when you say it back, that felt obvious too, but to me it didn't.
Well,
When I said it,
from
I
now
was like,
on, it
oh,
will. From now on, it's going to. That's the thing about it, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's now, I know there is a lot, in the dream world, a lot of people have associated different things that happen in your dream with, like, just kind of an overarching feeling of what's happening. Like, your teeth are falling out. This means that. Is that true?
No.
No, because it's different for every
Well, but it
person,
is
right?
true. It is true that all of us, all through time, we human beings at around 6 or 7 years old lose our teeth. It's something that we have no control over, and it's something that we all experience. And
Mm.
so I know one guy who was dreaming that his teeth were falling out, and it was because the inevitable. It was because he knew inside, even though he wasn't facing it, he knew inside that his relationship was coming to an end. And it was something that was inevitable and something that he had absolutely no control over. So for him, teeth falling out was pointing him to the situation that was happening with him and his wife. But I also know somebody else who dreams that her teeth are falling out just before she's turning 50. And it's a transition. So, which also is a transition when we're 6 or 7. So she's using teeth falling out for that reason. Or a third woman whose mom was dying, and she actually, when she would get home at night from the hospital, she was so exhausted, she actually didn't want to speak to anybody, but all her mom's friends were calling her and calling her. So, oh yeah, this actually, I just remembered what that dream was. It was, she had a dream that there was a little girl who had a loose tooth, and she went to help her pull that tooth out. And while she pulled that tooth out, all the other teeth fell out. And so that was all her mom's friends. Every night when she would get home from the hospital, she was getting inundated with phone calls, and she was exhausted and actually felt like a break. She didn't feel like talking. And she would try and give a little information, like pulling one tooth out to help. So she would try and give a little information about her mom. But that was never good enough, because then the friend would say, well, what about this? What about this? So until she had to like give one, she tried to do one little pull, but all the teeth fell out. And so there you have a guy whose relationship is breaking up, somebody who's turning 50, and somebody who's giving out information that she's too exhausted to give out. And they are all using that image of teeth falling out. They're
Yeah.
completely different situations.
So you already know we make the best workout gear, but one of our best products, our highest rated product on our website, is actually our collagen. If you have not heard about Glow Up by CVG, you are missing out. There is almost 700 five-star reviews on this product because it is such an amazing supplement. Actually, looking at it today, there are only 2 1 stars that were meant to be 5 stars. They love the product, they hit the wrong amount of stars. This is one of our most popular products for a reason. It dissolves like no other collagen. It's type 1 and 3. You're going to have healthier skin, better joint mobility. Everything about this collagen makes it easy to put into your daily routine. So if you haven't tried Glow Up, get on cvg.com and make sure to add it to cart today. It's our best product.
That makes so much sense in
Yeah,
the individual, thinking about it obviously from an individual standpoint, and it has to be something that you have thought of or considered in the last 24 hours. So trying to unpack like what that is.
that is that, and that's where you want to go, because I love Freud and Jung. I love going deep. I am not my husband. If he's flying on a cow, he just wants to know, why the heck was I flying on a cow? He does not want to talk to me about his early childhood relationship with his mom. So he doesn't want to go there. And actually, I think that's fine, because any knowledge is good knowledge. And if you just want to understand why you had that dream last night, I'm fine with that, because it helps you with your problem solving. But if you're like me and you want to go deeper for long term change and realize things about yourself, then you can use what's the situation this week that triggered this dream. And you can use that to dig for the gold, because then you would know where to start digging. And I don't want to leave this little piece about the 6 points of entry without talking about puns and play on words. So if I say to you, I spent so much money on that handbag yesterday, when Andy finds out, he's going to kill me. If that's the language that you use, he's going to kill me. Don't be surprised if you go to sleep tonight and you dream that somebody's trying to kill you, right? Or
Yeah.
what about the woman who said to me, I had to pee so badly in the dream and I couldn't find a bathroom. I finally found a bathroom, got into the stall, and I couldn't get out of the stall. And I'm going to say, why? What are you stalling about? So
Oh, I
you
wouldn't have
want to
considered
listen.
that.
Yeah, I tell dreamers, say the dream aloud, because when you say it aloud, you're going to give it to yourself on a silver platter, because you hear yourself say it. Or, I was so embarrassed, I thought I was going to die. And then you dream that you're dying, and it's not that you're dying, it's that you're you were embarrassed, and you're discussing with yourself whatever you did yesterday that made you feel embarrassed.
That's very interesting, and maybe we'll try saying some of our dreams out loud, because when you do say them like this, because sometimes I'm like, well, I'm not exactly sure, but um, like sometimes I dream that my dog is run into one of the lakes here, and an alligator comes out and eats her,
Right.
and
Exactly.
yeah.
And so you want to ask yourself, you could go with the feelings. How did I feel in the dream? What happened to me yesterday? Or what was I thinking about yesterday that that's making me feel like swallowed up, right?
Mm.
I could be
Mm-hmm.
too much work, for example. That's my projection about what would happen if I felt swallowed up. It would be a pile of work on my desk that's eating me up,
You
literally.
know what? It's funny because I've said this to my mom before, but like, I'm like, the animal changes. It can be an alligator, but it would be a shark, but it's always is swallowed whole. It's
Right,
never, and it's just these different. It was a whale once. Like, it's
right.
always a different, but it's that same. What you just said is like that same being swallowed up, and the animal wasn't necessarily like important, but the
Well, but
action.
they are, though,
Hmm.
because then you're going to ask yourself, using the symbols, what are the first two or three things that come to my mind? I want my pen. Could you tell me, Kelsey, what are the first two or three things that come to your mind about a whale? What do you think of about a whale?
Um, I think of them having a giant mouth. I think of being in the inside of their stomach,
Giant mouth.
and I know that they. I don't
And
know if
what's
this
the
is.
thing about being inside their stomach?
I,
Like,
I know that sounds
can
weird, but I always have
you get
this
out?
picture of like Moby Dick, like you know how the whale comes up and swallows the
That's
whole
right,
ship.
and takes him in. And
Yeah,
can you get out?
no.
Hello. So now you're giving us clues. You're giving yourself clues about what situation are you feeling swallowed up by, and you're having difficulty. You're feeling like you can't get out. So it's
Mm.
got that powerlessness feeling to it. And when you said, because we're talking about puns and play on words, when you said giant mouth, I thought to myself, who of my daughters opened up a big mouth to me? That's what it made me think of. Who's
Yeah.
got a big mouth?
Nope.
Dog.
And my dog.
That
It
is
immediately
synchronicity.
shows itself.
I love synchronicity. Here, here's here's what I have to say about
Oh,
it.
it's been sitting there the whole
Yes,
time?
that's
Oh
Luke.
my
That's
goodness.
Lukey, my little
Oh,
buddy. Yeah,
Lukey.
that was funny how your dog just gave like a big bark
He
at the
sh
right time. Yeah,
he shows up right at the right
I
time.
love synchronicity so much. And I don't really, even though I'm very psychological in my approach to dream analysis, I love synchronicity. I am at heart a spiritual person.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, it's amazing when those two worlds come together, though, because then you have like like science with like actually like how how intuitive we are as humans, and like how this
exactly.
manifests itself in our
That's right.
dreams.
And we are
Yeah.
multitasking. We are
Yes.
doing many things at the same time, different levels of things are going on. It's just that my particular niche, and I stay inside my niche, is the problem solving that we are doing and understanding the language of metaphor. That's where I stay. But that doesn't mean that simultaneously, like, for example, if I have to go out of town, I might dream about my late father. And if I ask myself very quickly, what is it about my dad? I'm going to say to you, well, he represents that business male side of me, as opposed to my mom's side, which is my maternal,
Mm.
stay with the kids, stay at home, cook side of myself. And so I'm dreaming about my father this week because I'm about to leave the kids and Lukey and the family to go on a business trip. And he appears in the dream because I need to lean in and access my ability to connect with my business side. But at the
Mm.
same time, how do we know that my father's not also really visiting me? Maybe he is. So I
Mm.
see that both are happening simultaneously. I could be
Yeah.
doing a visit, but I'm also dreaming about him because he represents that certain side of me. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at the clock because
Oh.
I refuse to leave you or the discussion without taking you deep.
Okay.
So I want to.
Mhm.
So I call this putting up the wallpaper. And so I already put up the wallpaper once this conversation when I talked about the fact that the dream is triggered by a specific current issue that you're attempting to come to a conclusion about this week. But now I want to put up the wallpaper again. And I call it wallpaper because if you accept what I am proposing, then we're all standing in the same room for the sake of discussion. And so that's the wallpaper I'm putting up right now. I'm
Mhm.
asking you to accept what I'm about to say. And that is that when we come into the world, we arrive here whole. We have a plethora of potential and possibility. We could be selfish. We could be giving. We can be shy, assertive. Maybe you're the comedian in the family. Maybe you're the person who's more serious. Um, Maybe you're the person who's always making the plan for everybody to get together. And maybe you're the one who's always on the receiving end of the invitation to go to wherever it is. So we arrive here with everything. And there's not, I'm not saying a judgment here, but the people who bring us up teach us that it's better to be one way than another way. So
Mhm.
it's not like all these different parts of ourself and our potential. It's not like our potential disappears. It doesn't. But we become over exercised in certain personality traits. and under exercised in others.
Mm.
And the only problem with our over and under exercised aspects of our personality, the only problem, and again, I say this as a 73-year-old person who's been through all kinds of situations in my life, you don't want to be stuck with your same knee jerk response to waking situations, because life throws you so many different kinds of situations. You want to be able to respond in the most appropriate way. So for me, there's no right, no wrong, no good, no bad. When I wake up in the morning, all I want to know is, am I responding to today's situation in the most appropriate way that I can? So there's no judgment about any response that you have. The question is, are you responding in the best way possible for yourself? And you don't want to be stuck with your boring knee jerk response. Like, you don't want to turn 60 and still be responding like you did when you were 15.
Yeah.
You need to be able to access some other parts of yourself. So I learned when I was growing up, the message was, don't open up that big mouth. That was the message in my house, because that was considered to be very disrespectful. So
Hmm.
I learned to become over exercised in shutting up and under exercised in speaking up.
Yeah.
And and with your teeth falling out dream, Kelsey, perhaps you relate to what I'm saying. Are you a style of girl that says what you need to say, or what's your initial reaction to life? Is it to stay
Hmm.
quiet or to speak?
So, I as multifaceted humans, I think that it's a mix because I am very calculated about my words. So I'm not a knee jerk reaction. But
Okay.
when I have something to say, it's often rehearsed over and over and over, thought through, thought through. I ruminate like
Oh,
crazy,
good.
and then it like kind of comes all out.
Oh,
But I do feel very stuck, like I'm choking on my words until I can get it out, because it just
okay.
like it eats me alive if I
Right.
don't feel like I've been able to say or contribute. And I'm one of three, I'm the youngest. So sometimes that plays into, you talked about the upbringing, and the youngest is kind of like,
I'm the youngest also.
yeah,
I'll
so
bet
you're kind of like, shut up. Like,
you.
there's more important things going on. That's how you're
I
just
really
brought up.
get you. And
Yeah.
so your position in your birthright order
Yes.
also influences what parts of yourself are more exercised. But
Mm.
if I go to the bank manager because I want to borrow money, and there's something about him or his tone of voice that I don't really like, my knee jerk reaction to stay quiet and shut up
Yeah.
actually fits the situation. I'm not going to start opening up to the man. I want to borrow money from him. So me staying quiet fits. But if my husband or one of the kids opens up a mouth to me, I need to be able to access my voice. And so what happens is well, I'll give you an example I often use that you probably heard on other podcasts. Like about 30 years ago, one day, Andy opened up a big mouth to me. He's got a temper, very handsome and cute and sweet, but he's got a temper. He's got a bad temper. And he opened up a mouth. And what did I do? I said absolutely nothing. So that youngest sister part of me stayed quiet, like with a bank manager.
Mm.
But that night I went to sleep and I dreamed about an aunt of mine who she was already passed on like years. But using the symbols, I asked myself, what comes to my mind when I think about her? And I'll give you the same answer today that I would give you 30 years ago. She had the biggest mouth of anybody I ever met. She was the
Mm.
most assertive person. So, because we are self regulating organisms, we humans, and I'm all the way over there saying nothing to him, I dream about my aunt, who is the most assertive person I ever met in my life. So your unconscious gives you that polarity because it's trying to pull you somewhere in the middle. And that is
Mm.
because I am not here to tell you that change is easy. I am here to tell you that change is possible. So I needed to lean in to the part of the dream that I feel the most intimidated by, which is her assertiveness.
Yeah.
I need just a little bit. It's like you're going to the gym for the first time. Like, give yourself a break. You're not going to build that muscle overnight. It's not,
Mm.
change is not easy, but it certainly is possible. So when I woke up in the morning, understanding the image of her, I said to Andy, like I didn't tell him to bug off like I would today. Because today,
You've worked that muscle a little bit more.
yes,
Yes.
30 years later, I'm not afraid anymore. But that time when I got up in the morning and I understood the symbol and her appearance, I said, Andy, you were yelling at me last night. Could you please not yell at me? Because it makes me feel like I'm 7. I'm with my father. And so that was my first time in the gym, exercising my voice.
Mm-hmm.
So you do it little by little by little, and you get more and more confident over the years. That's how it happens.
Yeah. I think that that's going to resonate with so many people too, because guys, you know, the parts of yourself that maybe those muscles are not quite as strong or worked, because we haven't practiced them, right?
That's right.
If we do what we've always done, we get what we always got, and we will continue to, if we're not looking for those cues for change and what we might be able to take from that. Like if you didn't know, if you were just like, why am I dreaming about my aunt, like,
Now you know
and then
why you
you're
dreamed
like,
it.
I don't know, I go past it, but you had to dig a little deeper to like, what did she mean to you? What's a symbol,
She
like what
was
does
my
she stand for?
solution. She
Mm,
was the solution to the issue that day. I
yeah.
needed to lean in to her style of operating in order to solve the problem that I was having with Andy that day.
Mm. See, I love the marriage of these two, solving a problem and our dreams at the same time, because sometimes I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I think my dreams are the problem. You know what I mean? I'm like, why am I
Never,
waking up? You
never.
know? But
There's,
like, they are the solution
there's
is a
always the
different.
solution. There is no such thing as a bad dream. When you understand them, there is no such thing as a bad dream. And we are always self regulating. So, for example, a physiological example is if you have to go to the washroom, you could hold it in, hold it in, hold it in. At a certain point, you have to go to the washroom. And
Yeah.
so if you have that somebody hurt your feelings, or you have something to look after that you're not looking after, or whatever it is that you're holding in, holding in, holding in, because we humans, we lie, we deny, we avoid, and we sweep. We do not like looking at things. And so we are very
Hard.
naturally hold things in. So whatever you're holding in is the underreaction, and your dream gives you the overreaction. And two things happen. First of all, it creates a balance. And the second thing that happens is the overreaction works to grab your attention, like me dreaming about my aunt, or a nightmare. You get a nightmare, and the nightmare succeeds in grabbing your attention because your unconscious always has the same goal. It wants you to take the interior discussion called the dream, and it wants you to bring it outside to waking life. Because the minute you talk about what's bothering you outside the dream, you are automatically going to get somebody else's feedback, somebody
Mm.
else's idea, somebody else's opinion. And once you are not having the conversation with yourself anymore, you're going to open up to ideas to help you come to a conclusion about what you want to do.
quick interruption. Guys, we are always talking about the importance of community to help you along your journey, to keep you motivated, to surround you with like-minded people. And we have a massive, massive community to do just that. If you haven't already, get in our fitness group on Facebook, Fitness Programming by CVG. Get on our app, CVG Nation. We've got hundreds of thousands of women on there who are just waiting to cheer you on. And we cannot wait to meet you. Get with us on our channels. We love to see you there.
So say I'm someone who has reoccurring dreams. And I know this has happened to me at certain points in my life where like I'm having the same dream over and over, and you're like, are we going to continue on that cycle until you deal with the thing that you're dreaming
Yes, your
about?
unconscious is yelling at you.
Mm-hmm.
I call it hitting me over the head with a plastic baseball bat. It's repeating. If it's repeating over a short period of time, it is your unconscious yelling at you. It wants your attention. But there's also repetition, as we were talking about earlier. There's repetition that happens inside the same dream, like the tsunami dream where she's in calm water with a calm girlfriend. So you get that repetition inside the dream. You might get it over a period of a week or two because your unconscious is calling you and it wants you to deal with some situation. And then there's the kind of repetition that's called a favorite expression. So my favorite expression, I'm on a podcast, so I'm going to say it's "oh darn it." It's not really "oh darn it." Let's just say that that's my favorite expression. So I could have said "oh darn it" when I was 15 because I missed the bus. And I could have said "oh darn it" when I was 25 because I walked by my desk and I spilt papers all over the floor. And I could have said, "oh, darn it," about an hour ago when you and I were having trouble getting in touch with each other. So I'm saying, "oh, darn it, oh, darn it, oh, darn it," over a period of some 50 years. Same expression, completely different situations. So recurring dreams that happen over a lifetime is a favorite expression. And all you need to do is uncover what you're saying to yourself when you do that picture. Because the minute you figure it out, what it means, it never comes back. It's so funny.
Oh,
Yes.
it wants to be figured out. It's begging to be figured out.
Yeah, your unconscious will give you something else that you don't understand.
Yeah, it'll put on the next one. I did want to ask you, what do you think is the most, what's the most misunderstood or the biggest misconception in the dream world?
Well, I guess all that, like, what is it that makes people go to look it up somewhere, in
Mm,
looking it up instead of looking in? And that's probably the biggest
that's deep too.
misconception. To look up instead of look in.
Mm,
And the thing about looking in is, especially that I mean, we have it in Canada too. I mean, it's happening all over the world, but especially in the United States. We are so divided. Oh my God. And we are powerless. This is the biggest message I'm going to give you. We are powerless over changing anybody else. Forget it. You cannot change anybody else. And you are all powerful over changing yourself. So for every minute that you spend in your life trying to change somebody else or their opinion or thinking that you have the power to change somebody else, if you spent the exact amount of time looking in to see what you can change about yourself, everything changes once you're looking in. Everything, because you are all powerful to change every way about you. And imagine how powerful you become when things happen around you, especially with the people around you, your loved ones, your family, your friends, when they don't know how you're going to react to
mm.
whatever's going on. And why don't they know? They don't know because you've been exercising all those different possibilities that you have about how you might respond. So when people don't know for sure, how you're going to respond to something, you put yourself in a very powerful position because
Yeah.
they don't know what's going to come at them. Is she going to stay quiet? Is she going to open up? They don't know.
That's such a great point, and so that hits me hard right now. Being in the United States, we are so divided, and I can get so caught up in, um, uh, just feeling overwhelmed by the atmosphere, and then trying to change it, and it keeps me up at night for sure, without a doubt. I'm like, what is happening? How can I impact? Like, what? How
The
can
way you can
I?
impact is by looking in, and you've got a big advantage because you happen to be a person who remembers her dreams. So you can take the time to look inside and focus yourself on being the whale.
It's that's such a great point. And so like mine just go in so many ebbs and flows, because sometimes I'm waking up and I'm like, I have two kids, and like my dreams will be like I'm on the roof with both of them, holding them outside in on top of the roof. I'm like, why am I on a roof? Like, was there no other way out? But I
Right.
guess that's a good that's a good
Yes.
question too, of like, why am I asking for a way out, but trying to like hold them and protect them, but I'm slipping on the roof. It's like, that these different, they just take so many different ways with like what's happening in your
Right.
life.
You're very smart. You're so smart. I can tell already. So you've got it. You got the idea. You want to be looking first at the surface about what's going on this week that has you feeling that way. So that's what you want to do. Like that dream, if that was my dream, if you'll excuse my projection, if that was my dream, I would start looking for ways to get myself off the roof.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be looking
Yeah.
for a ladder, or maybe I'd be looking for some help. Maybe I'd
Yeah.
be asking Andy or one of the girls to help me down off the roof.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the ways that you can start looking at solving the problem.
That's a good one. That's a good one too, because they're just so little. So then when you have a baby, you're like, I can't hold you both. It's the asking for help that kind of gears towards you,
Yes,
you can't hold them both. They're so little. You're on a roof, like that just it brings you to your answer, and I hope that just helps everyone listening. That for me, a big takeaway. You've said a ton of important things. So even just listening to this entire podcast back, but saying it out loud has been really helpful to just hear the language that you're using when you're describing your dreams.
right.
What are the words you're saying? Like how
Yeah.
does it come out? And then just hearing it out loud, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Before we go, I want to leave you with two things that are completely, well, I'm just going to talk about how to go deeper
Yep.
when you want to go. So when you're not talking about what happened yesterday, but the way to get deeper is to say to yourself, what is today's situation make me think of? How do I feel in this situation? And it's Freud's free association, and you can use it for Freud or you can use it for Jung. Jung would be thinking about a story or a book or a TV show or a movie, something that comes to your mind that reminds you about your dream or about standing on a roof holding these innocent kids. So it's making you feel like not only are they exposed, but you are also exposed with them. So you just sit back and think about, what story does this remind me of? And it could be a TV show, a movie, they're all acceptable. And when you land on one, think about what is the lesson of that story, because then you
Mhm.
can take that lesson and apply it to what's going on in your life. So you go
Mhm.
deep and you come back up surface. And to use Freud, you would think to yourself, you sit back in a chair, and I think of bingo balls or lottery balls and that big cage of every single memory and association you have ever had since you're born, which really is, by the way, sitting in your unconscious, and they're bouncing around all these bingo balls. And I promise you, and again, I say after 50 years, I promise you the right memory that you need is going to pop out. And you think to yourself, and I accept memories from teenagehood or 20s, but the farther back you go, the better it is to think
Mm.
about some story that happened in your life with your parents, some story back then that makes you feel the way you're feeling today. So you think
Mm.
about that, and then your adult self looks at, how did your parents respond? Do you like the way your parents responded? Is that the way you would respond with your kids? So you look at that, but once you've brought your adult self into the discussion, you can't avoid a shift that happens. It's like that expression that once you know something, you can never go back to not knowing, which is true. You can never, once you know it, you can never go back to not knowing. You can't
Mm.
erase what you know. And so that shift that happens will change you forever, because your adult self has made a different decision than what happened to you as a child. And you want that shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
think anyone who just went on that journey with you had the just some that jumped out to you, maybe. And I think it happens especially when you start parenting little kids again. It just certain situations trigger
yep.
something for you that happened in the past, like something that you're like, I don't want to do it like that. And that's not to throw shade on my parents, but it's just like I don't want to repeat that for as a
Exactly. It's
parent for
not a
me.
judgment.
Mm.
As our parents are, I mean, I'm a parent.
Human.
Parents don't get up in the morning and say, how could I screw this kid up today?
Oh no.
They don't. That's not how we wake up. So it's not a judgment. It's just a fact that whatever we're doing, it's part of what our parents did, and whatever they did, it was part of what their parents did, and on and on and on. And the way to effect change is when you recognize, oh, yeah, that's what happened to me, but I don't want to do it like that. And now
Mm.
you have set in motion forever a change about how you will respond to your kids. Or even if you don't have kids, it, once you've got that memory,
Yeah.
it shifts how you feel about yourself. So you don't want to judge those parts of yourself. You want to welcome them. They're going to
Mm.
be, like that Lainey, by the way, like I know I want to greet her with love.
Mm.
I want to greet her with love. She's not going anywhere. She's going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But I also hope that there are newer Laneys, newer versions of Laney that are also present. So I
Mm.
will leave you with what I think is a fabulous dream. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
So, and you know that there is a puppy on my lap. So it's going
Which
to
is
be
just a
funny.
magical way to work, first of all.
It's so funny. Yeah. And so there's this woman, not me, but there's this woman who dreams that she's got a brand new puppy. And she is so excited about the puppy. He's so new and so adorable. And all she really wants to do is look at him eye to eye. So she picks the puppy up on the table. Can I say a swear word?
Of course, yes.
She picks the puppy up on the table, and she's looking right at him eye to eye. And she's so happy, so happy. And all of a sudden, the puppy shits all over the table. There's poo everywhere. And so it's a big mess. So the minute I heard the dream, I was attracted to the feelings and the plot also, like the movement. And so I asked her, what do you think happened in your life in the last few days? Some situation that was brand new and you were so excited about it, and all of a sudden it turned to shit really quickly. And she got it right away. She said, I know what it is. I got a brand new job and I was so excited about it. And now I've been working there 4 days and it's no good. The boss is a really abusive guy and he's been shitting all over me. So
Oh.
we found the puppy. We found
Mhm.
the puppy. And so I used the same uh, method um, that I did with the freight elevator dream. And I said, if you really had a puppy and you really put him on the table and he really made all over the place, what's the solution? What would you do? She said, well, the first thing I would do is take it off the table. And then I would clean the table up and I'd clean myself up. And that's how I would do it. And because we are discussing language, and I don't want my language, I want her language.
Yeah.
I said, what does that mean? Is that an expression that you use? Take it off the table? What does that mean? She said, oh, when I take something off the table, I'm done. I'm not negotiable. It's over. And she
Yeah.
left my office and quit the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. She took that puppy off the table.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you don't remember your dreams, maybe it would have taken her a couple of weeks, but the message, she got the message with the puppy that's shitting on the table. She knows she has to take the situation off the table and that she is not negotiable. It's done. She's done.
Mm.
So maybe she got it because she remembered the dream and she analyzed it the same day. So she quit the job the same day. She would have quit the job anyway if she didn't remember the dream. Maybe it would have taken her a week or two.
Mm.
Your
Yeah.
unconscious gets you the message. Don't worry.
Yeah. Sending the message whether you're remembering it in your dreams or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Hmm. Is there anything we can do to help for some people that don't remember their dreams and they'd like to? Is there any way that they
Right.
can start to access that in any way?
Okay. Well, I will say first,
Oh.
this is book one. Both my books are called Have a Great Dream. And my site is actually thedreamanalyst.com. But if it's easier for you to remember Have a Great Dream, then you can get there by going to haveagreatdream.com. And you can learn about all of what we just talked about in book one is called the overview. And if you're somebody that wants to look more into this, you can get Have a Great Dream, book two, a deeper discussion. And so if you go on YouTube to the Dream Analyst on YouTube, I have all kinds of reels there. I think there's over 130, 2-minute reels. But if you look for Dream Tidbit, number one or two or three, you will find different ways that you can help yourself remember a dream. And one way is just to take your ring or your watch off and look at it carefully, turn it around, and then close your eyes and have it in your mind's eye, and then open your eyes and look at it again, and then close your eyes and look at it with closed eyes, or walking around a room. So those kind of exercises wake up that part of your brain that get you in the mood of eyes closed, eyes open, eyes closed,
Mm.
eyes open. Like when I wake up in the morning, sometimes I'll say, where was I just now? And that helps me get back there.
Yeah, that's a great tip. So I'm gonna link all of those also in the show notes just for the listeners. If you didn't write those down, guys, they're linked in the show notes so that they can find you right away. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was such a wonderful discussion and so much more to be had with
Yes,
dreams because this is it's opening up Pandora's box. There's just so much to unpack there. So I hope all of our listeners check you out and can find out more and learn more what their dreams, what their unconscious is really trying to tell them.
great. That's great. And find me on Instagram. That's my favorite. That's my favorite place is Instagram. So thank you very, very much, Kelsey. That was fun,
Yeah.
and you're smart and beautiful. It
Oh,
was fun.
thank you
It
so
was fun
much.
to have a discussion, and I like that
Mhm.
you have all those sisters because I get it.
Thank you.
I
You
get
get it. You
it.
get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.